Hello, everybody. I'm Jason, the Wizard of Ops, and with me, as always, is my boy Jay. Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Still trying to shovel my way out of some of the snow. Like this snow is just something, Wiz. It's like the Arctic outside. I don't know what to make of this anymore. I got blocks of ice that are like big concrete blocks, and I'm like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah, we were trying to we dug ourselves out, right? I have a very, very old snow blower. I always call it a snow
Okay.
thrower. Is it snow thrower or snow blower?
Blower.
But it doesn't blow, it picks up and
Hey
throws.
man, just go with the flow. All
Okay,
right.
fine, snow blower. But it broke. It was very old. We actually got it from a next door neighbor who moved to Florida and said we don't need this anymore. And and like the carburetor I think needs to be cleaned or whatever. But so I ended up having a shovel with a shovel. And I lived in Jersey. I did it for years as a kid. I was pretty seasoned. It was pretty cool how it came back. But then when we wake up the next morning and you're plowed in because the plow came by and put it all up there, and then it rained, freezing rained, and we had this nice little speed bump in the end of our driveway. It was like, and we finally took care of it, but it's like the roads are narrower now, but
Yeah, the
anyway.
roads are narrow. Nothing has melted. That's what I'm astonished by, right? Like we had the sun out all day yesterday and I didn't see puddles of water anywhere. That's how cold it still is.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a salute to everybody in North Carolina and Southern Virginia who are now digging out again. So
Yeah,
they're digging out and they're
yes,
now usually ready for it. So
it's
um
true.
but anyway, all right, let's get to it, Jay. What have you
Let's
got?
do that. Yeah, we got a lot. So a lot has occurred overnight.
So you're tired.
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired. A few of us were up. I left Lord and I think Saint as well. Lord was kind of questioning whether we'd hit our 6850 SPX target here, and it came pretty dang close. You can see our exchange in the day trading channel, but what a move last night was. The market futures opened with a gap down to 6,900. We came back, closed the gap at 6,940, and then we just sold for 100 points from there. Kind of held at 6850 SPX, and now I think we're just a little bit north of 69. I think we're roughly about 69.10 right now in the market in the SPX. So what a heck of a recovery, and who wouldn't want to trade when you have movement like that, Wiz? So lots of trades, but let's jump into the trade plan.
Hey, that's way too much attention to candlesticks for me. I'm not
Hey, when you got Volland, you just need to you just gotta just then, you just watch your trade at that point.
right.
All right, let's
Um,
jump into this week's catalyst. So, in terms of news front, today obviously we've got some manufacturing ISM prices that will be coming out. But for the majority of this week, the theme from a data standpoint will be jobs data. So, not only in the US, but Europe as well, but we'll be reporting on jobs number. And then, of course, here in Europe, not huge, but they will be reporting their CPI numbers here this week as well. Anything you want to add to the economic calendar here, Wiz?
well, I think the sell-off in metals, which I think is, margin calls and that start to drag down on equities. I think equities got extended because of metals too. Just the dollar getting crushed, and so I think like a lot of what we should be looking at is the dollar, and it's kind of somewhat proxy metals. Um, so anything there, I mean, jobs are going to be something to do with Fed decisions, but I think the Fed decisions are all we could pencil in no cuts through May. So so while the jobs data is important and it definitely gives, you don't want to get caught off guard with something that misses a lot of expectations. I think generally it's something to pay attention to, but I don't think it will cause a lot of movement.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Unless there's a surprise or a shock.
Yeah.
We got a few too many Amazon corporate cuts that we were unaware of. Then yes, I agree with you. We could then see potential conflicts. But yeah, I'm usually aligned with your thesis there. So let's keep moving on.
I'm actually also curious as to, I mean, it's not on there, but if Kevin Warsh is going to start yapping, I don't know.
Well, well, so that's let me get through this slide here, and then that's what I kind of want to ask you is, I think some of the sell-off, is it potentially tied to, I think, one of two things. There's a little bit of scare. I think one of the metropolitan whatever bank trusts failed last week. It was a smaller bank, right? But where one cockroach exists might be others, right? So as Jamie Dimon has said in the past. So you've got that, just again, it's on the peripheral, I kind of consider it. But I think the Fed chair, we don't know what his position is. He hasn't said anything, right, Wiz? So is that going to cause the volatility? Was this some of the selling? Let me pause. I guess we're already on the topic. Yeah. Your thoughts?
Well, I've read a lot about him. It seems like he's been trying to get this job for a very, very long time. He's coming out of academia now, or just, think tank kind of jobs. He had to have told Trump that he would lower interest rates. But the two big consistent things I've read about him and reading his words in the past is he is more focused on inflation than stuff like unemployment, which is not good if inflation is high. And well, not good, but by that I mean he'll probably raise rates since inflation is high. And number two is he believes that the balance sheet is very bloated. Both of those are recessionary. That will require recessionary moves. Now, he had to have told Trump that he would cut interest rates or something like that. I think, but I also think, based on what I'm reading, and I don't know this man, and based on what I'm reading, I think that he will have a lot of sway or a lot of pride in what he does. So I think he will cut rates because he doesn't want to lie. But I also think he's going to start QT, and that'll offset possibly the both the inflation and the that'll offset even also any kind of interest rate cuts he would do. So I think he might cut once or twice or something like that. But really his hawkishness will be in the balance sheet. And we saw when I think it was Jerome Powell was earlier in Jerome Powell's tenure, what happens when you try to unwind the balance sheet. So I do think that the hawkish reaction to Kevin Warsh is probably warranted.
Yeah. I'm very much in alignment with you. And that's what I think when he comes out to speak, when that occurs, I think that will be a telling sign of what to expect, what will happen. I think we're done with Daddy Powell here and hearing from him and his purple and red and whatever other color ties people follow. So this is not your guy,
Well, he might not speak until the Senate hearings to try to confirm him. So, I mean, we might be waiting a while to hear really what Kevin Warsh has to say.
Which might bring a lot of uncertainty to the market then. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate your thought on that. So great. Let's continue then with our trade plan. So this week, outside of our economic calendars and anything, the new potential Fed chair, we have a lot of earnings still here, Wiz. I need to catch up on Disney this morning. I have not, so I don't want to comment unless you have some background on how their earnings went. But while you're doing that, we've got PLTR That's a big one here after the market closes today. So I would keep an eye on that one. We also have PayPal. Pepsi's always just good to see how the general consumer and in the consumer market is going. Pfizer also reports, so that'll be another. Here's how the healthcare, stance in the federal government is going to whack around that earnings and what they say in their earnings call. But then after the close tomorrow, a couple of big ones there. So AMD, obviously the big one. If you're still in the super micro, SMCI is also reporting, but the one I'm curious because I do like eating there, but curious what their earnings always do again with the consumer is Chipotle. And then as we head into Wednesday, we've got Uber, but it's like a triple whammy here in terms of various semis and chips and things of that nature. We've got obviously Alphabet, and can it continue to sell search ads and advertising, and what's it doing with AI and Google Cloud Computing? And then we've got ARM and Qualcomm. ARM, I think, keep an eye on that one with the cost of RAM just skyrocketing and going up. They'll be very curious to hear what their earnings and future guidance will be as well. And then last but not least here, we've got Amazon will also be reporting. And then the other one I'm kind of curious about here is MicroStrategy, or what was formerly MicroStrategy, now called Strategy. Bitcoin took a beat down. It hit like a low of 74K over the weekend. I think at one point they were about 8K per Bitcoin below their like cost average over the weekend. So I'm curious to see what the CFO and CEO say on Thursday. But Wiz, your thoughts about earnings this week?
There's a lot of interesting ones. I'll have some Substacks to do. I haven't really looked at them yet. As far as Disney goes, they beat expectations, but they're lower year over year. The stock seemed to spike, tank, spike again. Now it's even. So
that's a bit sounds about right.
Yeah, all right. I mean, so Disney, it is like just a sprawling entertainment industry. And I do think that entertainment is like one of the first things to go in recessions. So especially as expensive as Disney. I can't, I don't know if you ever took your kids to Disney World, but yeah, it's as a dad, the one paying for it, I tipped my cap to my parents when they took me finally. So
well, I think in general with some of these experiences, like we've as a society, at least my household, I will say then, we've moved away from like collecting things per se, right? Like my parents always collected things. And I'm like, why are you buying that couch? You never sit on it. What's the point, right? Kind of collecting, right? And so, for me, the experiences, it's all about the experience. An event I go to, a restaurant, a vacation, right? But those experiences are just getting out of hand, right? And I know we went to Disneyland just back in December, and like that was not cheap either, but yet it was Disneyland.
Yeah, the underachieving older brother. That's what that was. But
I mean, even Universal Studios was like ridiculously priced, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's affording this?
Yeah. But yeah, so and also Alphabet and Amazon. I always kind of basically, I mean, to give a very high overview of these earnings, it seems like a lot of people are buying calls and puts. They're going both directions. It's very speculative in individual stocks right now, and I think that's part of the reason why we're stuck in a range. So, I mean, this is kind of what to look forward to. I'm pretty sure Alphabet. I mean, we could look at them if we have time afterward, but it's already 9, so I don't know. But
we'll take a look here. We'll see what time it is.
Usually, what happens. So.
Well, and what's also interesting here, I didn't call out, but our good friends at the CME Group and the CBOE, kind of curious to see how they're.
They yelled when I said the whole acronym. They yelled at me. They tried to make the BOE lowercase. And they put the little apostrophe sparkle above the C because they want everybody to say SIBO. So
Got it.
just
SIBO.
you
All
know.
right. Good. Hey, I learned something new today. So amazing.
Yeah, I read that they're trying to release binary options again to compete with like Polymarket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I've been kind of, it's funny, like, okay, you can now game Polymarket. I don't know if I think whatever award ceremony was something recently, but it was like, hey, is the host going to say potato or something? It's like, then the host gets the mic, it's like, hey, potato, potato, like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
There's so like that is so much insider trading kind of thing you can throw in there. I'm not touching it. I'm not.
I mean, if you were part of the person who's going to say potato, why don't you go up to that and be like, hey, I need you at this time. Money's in, the trade is ready. Just say it.
Yeah. Then so Ariana Grande is going to be out there going, well, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo of a potato. And all of a sudden, all her entourage just made a lot of money off of us slubs who don't know Ariana Grande. So I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna mess with it.
That's so dead on. So dead on. Oh my God. Is this a simulation we're living in, or is this the real world? All right, let's keep going before we get way south on what we're doing here.
You can tell.
All right. Exactly. All right.
Dropping off our kids to school. So
yeah, it's just like, what the heck did I leave those two to? All right, the weekly expected move here. I mean, we almost hit the lower range. I mean, it's 119 points for if it matters to you. It's a wide range. Kind of expect more of that theme in 26 here. So the top of the range gets you to 70.58 if we were to see it, and the lower range is about 68.19. So
before you get off of that, we, when we look at Volland, we see, you said that 68.50 support, right? And you have it right there on your list. That's, that's shorter than the big range. So even though volatility is scary and stuff, I've been profiting quite a bit off of short gamma moves. I've had butterflies and calendars, a little bit, calendars a little bit leaning downside, but yeah, I mean, last month, I mean, this is something different to talk about. Maybe we'll do it next show, the 2025 retrospective. But last month was our best hedge curios month that we've had since inception. So I mean, it's been great. I mean, everything has been overpriced though. I mean, you said there the 119 and skew is high, so it's like short gamma right now is the way to go.
100%. Well, and I think what's also interesting and why, unfortunately, I took it to the 68.50 target last night, our trades, and it's all on our day trade channel. Some of us who are trading overnight, but I honestly wish I could have stayed. And the good purpose reason is with the data, like that 6,900. Gammon will jump into the Volland data here, was pure magnet, right? It's like a pure magnet as we kept migrating away from it. And once volatility compressed here, if you look at it, the volatility closed the VIX futures closed their gap as well in the market and futures. So like having these key levels and just the patience, and I spell it PAYTIENCE for those who ask, right? That's it, right? So if you were, maybe your bias wasn't short, you wanted to long the market, it's now patiently waiting, right? And, when we broke 6,900, that was the first level to go. And we knew exactly where we're going, which was that 68.50 after that point, Wiz. So I'm with you. I think just the Volland data is getting even better and better, in my opinion. And, sometimes you can't capture all of these moves in the regular trading hours. They're just happening in futures as well. So to even have access to this data in futures for an intraday trader, top notch, 100%.
So speaking of talking about the data, somebody asked a question. Where do we get our data from? What's the difference between ours and similar providers? This is a little bit more general. We'll do this real quick before we go into the rest of the thing. So most data that you see out there is, like especially all the Jexers, and they are doing kind of very blanket assumptions on publicly available like OI statistics, right? Anything from the OCC, that is, free reports or whatever. Some out there use like open close reports from SIBO, or some of the exchanges at least. We have trade level data. So we get the Oprah feed, we get it from SIBO, and we do a lot of our own calculations on it. We use some SIBO calculations and data, and nobody else gets it like this, right? Mainly because people keep trying to take shortcuts. They don't think they'll make enough money if they go this way. For us, integrity and data integrity is more important. We're data analysts here at Volland. So we import all that data. We do our own data studies to kind of guide people on how to look at this data. And essentially the point of Volland is to look at market maker positioning and what they have to do to hedge it. You could do that on an intraday basis, you do it on a swing basis, or you could do it on a long-term basis, or correlations that are even long-term. So overall, the answer is our data is more granular, better studied, and more robust than anything you will get on the market. You're not going to get this level of data on the market.
And if you don't mind, just to add, go ahead. No,
we also trade it. We have our own hedge fund. Nobody else does that. Why? Because our data is the best. So no, they're not going to put themselves on the line and prove that they are not good. Maybe they could be because they're not good traders, but ultimately, as data analysts, we know that they don't have what they need to successfully execute a good, a solid hedge fund. So I think that there's a lot more here than you will find at any other data provider in this arena. So go ahead.
Well, I think you nailed all the great points. You're fun. Also, not, hey, put in $500 in Venmo, me it, and we'll figure it out kind of thing. Like, this is legit fun, right? Yeah. Following the law and everything of that nature, and compliance and regulation. But I think for those of you who are new out there, like, what is this dealer positioning? How do I use it? What good is it? How do I compare it to some of the other option services out there? I think the way that I look at it is, with those other option services, you don't know what the customers are doing. So when they flash one of those, like, big trades or whatever the heck they call them, right? Someone's buying a bunch of puts. How do you know they're not offsetting that with a bunch of calls, or whatever their option strategy might be, what they're hedging, for crying out loud? Maybe they're long the stock, short options as a hedge, right? So there's a lot on the customer side that before was Volland, like, I would get confused. I don't know if 500 or 600 was a key level, and why, right? And I think that's the most important, is the why. Unlike with Volland, I now know the why. I know what to expect. And we'll kind of go into some of that. Like, for example, overnight, if we just look at Gamma here, we had, 6,900, we had 6,925, we had 6,850. And while these aren't going to tell you, hey, we're going to go down or up, right? They're going to give you key points of interest, right? And that first point of interest last night, even today, here is, are we up or north or south of 6,900, right? Left or right of it, I should say, here on this chart. And if it is, what do we expect out of the market, right? Is it going to be volatile? Okay, if it is in red gamma or negative gamma, we should expect a little bit of volatility. Then we can hop on over to our Vanna charts, right? What does the Vanna show us there? Does it align with some of these levels with gamma as well? So if volatility goes up, yes, I want to look at Vanna. Where is its interest, right? So that's not how I looked at those other services, Wiz. And, it just now makes more sense when you look at it from the dealer standpoint.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is, we not only do we have the most robust data, but we also have the education to use it. I think the Volland biggest hurdle is you have to learn it. Like you can't just walk in, and that alone should tell you that we have something here, because we're not going to throw away some, number one, I'm not asking you to follow me every minute. I want you to learn how to use the data yourself and make the right moves yourself. And number two is, market makers are very sophisticated people. They are not, they have a very sophisticated regimen to do, right? They're not, going to do the same thing and be very revealing. And, so it's not going to be too easy to track them all the time. Yeah. So there is a learning curve, but I go through that learning curve with you primarily because you need to learn how to use this yourself. We try as best we can to simplify where we can, but ultimately knowing this platform is what is going to make you money. So,
yeah. Well, you've got white paper, your user guide, the Discord, the videos on YouTube. And again, can I say the Discord, like Wiz is readily available. He usually answers like 99.999% of the questions in the Discord, which I don't know how you do that, by the way, but that's a separate.
When I am tagged. When I'm
yeah, that's it.
Because
yes.
That's why we have it. Yeah. But everybody's very knowledgeable and helpful too. We do have a very positive Discord group. It's not like Wall Street bets. We're not screaming at people. We don't cuss. So
you show us the data, we'll have a conversation, right? So
right.
All right, let's keep rocking and rolling here.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, on the levels for this week, 6,900 for me was a big pivot. Continues to be here, and as I said, we're almost teetering closer to 6,925 here in futures action. So to me, you got a lot of positive gamma in this zone that we're in. So we shouldn't see a lot of volatility or expect it unless we get at least the move shouldn't be volatile as we're going through here. So dealers are in control here in the positive gamma. If we look at the weekly VANA, for example, Wiz here. So, I mean, 7,000 clearly, just anything north of 6,940, just negative VANA. So if we do come into this level here, you need more compression of VIX and volatility here. And I just don't see that in the market right now, Wiz. Like, I'm looking at the VIX futures, like we've just been baselining, holding this lower end of the spectrum of the VIX, and then we get this big spike like we do last night, last Sunday, even for that matter, maybe even in the week we will potentially get another one, and then it compresses and then it shoots up again, and it compresses and it shoots up again. So for me, I think anything north of 6,940 is tough in the market this week, unless I see this data change. To me, like you just clearly have magnets where volatility increases, a bad earnings, the Fed share, whatever, price is just going to keep getting pulled down to the left-hand side here of the chart. I'll pause. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, toward the end of the week, we will get toward the end of the week, you obviously implied volatility of an expired contract is 0. So always, but this is kind of giving you a sense of how those deltas will decay. I think that downside is definitely possible. I think that for this week overall, it'll probably be like a 10, almost like last night, except not to that extent, not like 100 points down and up, but it'll be tight and it'll be kind of stressful. And then I don't know if you're going to go into the following weeks or whatever, but I think after this week, we could be in some trouble.
Well, I mean, yeah, if we look into
the market might go down, not we'll be in trouble, but.
Well, let me get into the exposure here, because if you look at February OPEX, I mean, anyone thinking you're going to get over 7,000 on any bullish news, like, first of all, good luck there. We can see that, right?
You have to really push.
Yeah, like there'd have to be a surprise somewhere, right? Like, hey, we paid off our deficit or something. I don't know. But then you looked at the downside and you kind of look at where, Vanna is just at neutral here, right? And that's a wide range is the other thing, was that I want people to kind of get into here is that you buy a dip, but it dips 50. It's not going to be a 50-point dip. It could go 100 points potentially based on some of this data. So I'll quickly pause, but your thoughts here?
Yeah, and if you go back to this week,
Yeah.
Notice here that there was 250 million in Vanna, 250 million in Vanna support. How much support do we have here? About 250 million. Support disappears after this week. So that's why I think that after this week, we could see a little bit more volatility.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and this is what held last night, in my opinion, right? So without this, it could have gotten much deeper, and then you kind of look at it. Now look at where it gets negative again, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that was Vanna and Gamma that I want to get through there. Intraday today, let's just jump into that. Again, to me, I think your 69.25, 69.40, those are going to be a little bit critical here. But is there anything you want to add in from an intraday standpoint? And obviously 6,900 to the downside. Looks right now from the charm, we're a little bit supportive. But let me zoom up on that if you want to talk a little bit here.
Zoom in on the delta decay. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Delta decay.
I was going to ask you which one. You want to go charm? And then I hit the wrong button. I'm like, I think he wants the other one.
I want the other one. Yeah, I mean, overall, this looks a little bit bullish, I guess. But I mean, I try to hesitate commenting on intraday until the market opens and we start getting that first flood of zero DTE trading. But overall, it kind of looks somewhat bullish, but not extremely bullish. Like, I don't think, we had all that positive gamma before. If we go up, we're going to have delta resistance. If we go down, we're going to have delta support. So unless we pass, I can't see the strikes, but unless we pass that red block to the upside or the green block to the downside, I think today we're just going to see a lot of nothing, really. A lot of just a flat market.
Yeah. And now you know why I trade overnight. It's just the market moves better. I don't know why, Wiz. No, I'm kind of with you too. I think you have to be patient here, especially as an intraday trader. Like, just making this up, like entering here at 69.20, like your risk reward is going to be tough, especially if that market decides to sell, retest that 69 kind of 100 zone, even the 69.10 here, for example. Like, that's 10 points you're in the hole, right? So my feedback to you is wait for those key critical levels, leverage, some of those gamma levels we just went through, the Vanna levels even, right? Patience, patience, patience. This market will reward you, but you have to be patient. You just have to wait and then attack at one of these key critical levels. Entering kind of midstream, I'll call it, right? Like, this is not going to make your portfolio successful this year. So just because the market opens at 9:30 a.m. and like myself, it doesn't mean I jump in immediately, right? To Wiz's point, I want to see how we had a lot of change, a lot of trades occur overnight, right? So how does that distinguish in what occurs in the regular trading session today? So stick to your key levels, leverage those, and then you can play within those boundaries. Wiz, so that's if I just go back here, I think we kind of covered a lot of this. There's a wide range for this week, and I think you got to treat this week with that larger range. Maybe not always intraday, but my bias has been more to the downside over the past couple of weeks. So for me, it's still sell rips, and that's what I will continue to do. Any final thoughts on your end?
No, that's basically mine. But we do have a question that I would like to answer. Can I explain Volland's plans? First of all, we are redoing our homepage because we redid all our plans, and now our homepage is going to be exciting. There's going to be quite a few new features that you're going to be excited about. But all right, so
I'll zoom in for you here so you can.
Yeah, we now have we now have 6 different tiers, right? The first one is the vol hacks, which you get 4 widgets. They're the most simplified widgets. They're for people maybe who aren't even trading, maybe just like news agencies or something like that, just getting an idea of what Volland data is. It's kind of an oversimplification, but it also helps you flatten your learning curve a little bit. You could say, well, why is this considered bullish or bearish? Why is it considered more or less volatile? And you can look at it yourself. The next Volland swing, the next tier starts including the Vanna exposure and gamma exposure, the charts basically that Jay and I feature in, me and my Substack, Jay, in this shared screen. Zero DTE, we have some specific zero DTE widgets for zero DTE traders, right? Their exposure, they get these same exposure charts, but this delta decay on zero DTE is extraordinarily helpful. We've our day traders have made a lot of money on that widget. Sometimes seven figures. It's
let's see. Oh my god. I forgot. I was away when I saw. I caught up that evening, and I was just like, "Holy crap!" Sorry.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk about that story one day.
Don't forget this widget. I think this has been one of the more handy ones. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Zero DTE. So you do have to learn a little bit about the paradigms of zero DTE. That is, our customers mostly buying puts, buying calls, selling puts, selling calls, where they are, and we have the lines in the sand there. Those are very strong support and resistance on the zero DTE tenor. Volland Insight is mainly for swing option traders. Like if I were subscribing to Volland, which I guess you could say I am, but building it. But if I were subscribing to Volland, my area would be Volland Insight. That's because I trade options. I need to know volatility metrics. I need to know what the vol plane looks like. I definitely like to know what spot vol correlation looks like. And there's the notional hedging exposure that you don't get with anything others. That is, how much do dealers have to buy or sell in deltas every day. So there's a lot of widgets that I would find very, very useful in Volland Insight. Volland Universe, when we launch our futures, Volland Universe is basically Volland Insight, Volland Zero DTE, and all of our futures when we launch them. Volland Institutional, probably a little bit over everybody's head in both price and in widgets, but it's got floating strike exposures, theoretical curve exposure, so it would give you how much theoretical Greeks are at each strike. Like aggregate, what would aggregate Vanna be if we dropped to 9,000 dropped to 6,000? What would aggregate Vanna be? And it would tell you that. So it's like a much smoother curve. All kinds of our most sophisticated studies go to Volland Institutional. So that's that. If your question is, if you're looking for exposure and you want the lowest level that includes Vanna, Gamma, Delta exposure, that's Volland Swing. So, yeah.
Well worth every single penny of this. As Wiz said, once you pick up the learnings, again, there's an academy here in Volland. I don't think you mentioned that, but
we do have the academy, the Volland Academy, which links to a bunch of videos. Like I think like the 30-something videos of learning, bunch of different learning, including some things that are just kind of tangentially related to Volland, but you kind of need to know to be a successful trader. So, I highly recommend going into the Volland Academy. That is complimentary. So, check out the Volland Academy, learn, and then you can subscribe. It's not exclusive to subscribers. I don't understand, this is another kind of thing, but I don't understand why some platforms charge you for education. I'm thinking don't you want people to come into your
well, I mean, I think more importantly is, do they even have the education? Sometimes you go in and subscribe to these services, right? And there's no education. It's you just come and you see a chart. You're like, well, shouldn't I know how this chart was represented or what it represents, and at least how I should be reading it?
Yeah. All right. Next question. As a futures trader and SPX, can you expand on how I can make my money back by trading? Because the system seems expansive. So, okay, here's another thing that I want to point out. Volland is data. It is not a system. It's not something that like, oh, it's not like RSI or something like that. And the reason why is because if there is a system, you're going to lose money because there's no counterparty that's going to be on the other end who's going to accept getting smashed every single, every single day or something like that. If there is a system, you're going to eventually get smashed. Are you in the results page?
Yeah, I am, just because, I also think while you're speaking, I think it was helpful. Like, this is legit. We're not paying anyone. This is everyone's own account. They come on their own, doing of when they want to share what they've made, right? And there's a lot of successful people here, and there's no joke, right? Like, the data is real here.
Yeah, actually, one thing I noticed, like, because obviously we do some competition. We look at our competition too. It seems like, number one, our guys are most consistent, but we have like some of the lowest churn rates that we've had some churn, obviously, because there's just retail people, people come in and out for different reasons, but we have one of the lowest churn rates in our industry because once people come in and they learn and they dedicate themselves, they make money.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing to lock on that point, I made so many friends through Volland, right? Yourself, one. I've met others in the Discord as well who I would, if I'm in their city, they're probably going to get a message from me. Hey, let's meet up, let's hang out. So I think also just from a community standpoint, a lot of people are there to help you learn, point you at least to the right direction, and assist when needed. So it's a great community as well that you have built.
Yeah. So overall, Ron, 1847.
Ron.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to show you in 3 seconds. We got 3 minutes until the market opens. I'm not going to be able to show you in that time frame how to make money in Volland, but I would invite you to come to. Hold on, wait. I am I have to do this. Hold on. Boom. Come to our Discord, vollanddiscord.com. There's an invite in there. Click join our Discord. Ask us questions in there. We can explain things a lot more. I also invite you to go to the Academy so that you can, there you go. Boom.
Boom.
Look at this.
Just as that. Simple as that.
I'm mastering this. I'm mastering this. This is great.
And I'm trying to keep up with you. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Join the Academy. Watch my videos. They're all on YouTube too. I mean, if you don't want to go into the Academy or whatever. And the other thing too, Volland data is now in 2-minute intervals, even at our lowest level. So you're going to get up to date if you're an intraday trader. When you say something like, how do I make daily income? That to me screams you're an intraday trader. We have a spot for you. We can help. So come into Discord, and then that's where you can start asking questions, looking in the beginners stuff. You'll learn a lot, and you'll realize that dealer positioning has a lot more depth than multiplying gamma times OI. So so I guess that's it. We got about 30 seconds until the market opens, and this is probably one of our longer shows. But Jay, take it easy, and may Volland help you in your future trading ventures.